So yeah, thank you for joining us for the monthly ramp up presented to you by Franchise Ramp. My name is Nick Hansen and I'm the director of creative here. And I'm super excited for the latest edition of this webinar series that includes a mix of in the trenches knowledge and high level strategy, along with a featured interview with a franchisee. Today we have Yoga 6 franchisee Mark Brabant, and our awesome franchisee success manager, Jasmine Murphy, will conduct the interview. We're going to start today, though, with a tactical tools session with Franchise Ramp account manager, Nathan Hall. Thank you so much for attending today. The monthly ramp up's goal is to give you a coherent picture of what's happening at the intersection of marketing and franchising. We want this to be a tight-knit community for franchisees to share knowledge and gain insight. Our mission at Franchise Ramp is to help franchisees realize their entrepreneurial dreams. We were tired of working with digital marketing agencies who didn't understand franchising or sales in general. So we took matters in our own hands, became Facebook experts, and added other digital marketing experts to our team. We are the new standard in franchise digital marketing and help clients obtain more quantity and higher quality leads. Please come back and join us again. And now it's time for our tactical tool session with account manager Nathan Hall.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Nathan Hall. As Nick said, I'm an account manager here at Franchise Ramp, and I'm happy today to be talking to you guys about some of the new changes in the ever-changing landscape that is social media and digital marketing. If we could head on to the next slide and give it a look. Alrighty, as I just said, the digital marketing landscape is changing. It's always evolving. And right now, what's taken us by storm is vertical video. I remember way back when, a few years ago, everybody said, turn your phone to the side so you don't have it vertical. You want that landscape view. Well, that's old news. The new news is you want to have it vertical. 9 by 16 is like the new standard. Everybody wants it to be vertical. And that's happening on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and as everybody's been hearing recently, TikTok. That's what's taking everybody by storm. Now, what all these social media platforms are really focusing on in terms of a key performance indicator is time on site. So think of it this way. The time that you're looking at a billboard is kind of the time that you spend on site. So if you're on the site longer, you're looking at ads longer. And the longer you're looking at ads, the more ads Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Google can place, the more revenue they generate. So if they can keep you on site longer, that's good for them. So social media platforms are competing directly for that time on site, trying to keep eyeballs on their app and keep their app open. And Meta, Facebook and Instagram, what we call them the Meta from here on, is making changes to stay competitive to be on top of time on site. And the key difference between Meta and TikTok is how they brand themselves. As we see here at the bottom with these little images, Facebook is a social networking platform. Instagram has itself in photos and videos. And TikTok, and this is a key distinction, is #1 in entertainment, while Facebook and Instagram put themselves kind of as a social media photo sharing app, something you can see what your family and friends are up to, what's going on in your life. TikTok says, I'm here to entertain you. So think about it like YouTube. You go to YouTube, you watch an entertaining video, use it to look up something. TikTok, you might not go to TikTok to look up on how to do something, but you go to TikTok to be entertained like you do with YouTube videos. So that's a good way to look at it. Kind of the difference between Facebook and Instagram with YouTube is similar to what the difference between TikTok and Facebook, Instagram is as well. Let me go to the next slide. So what is Meta changing? This is going to be our agenda. What is Meta changing? How are these changes being perceived? And what does this mean for us as marketers? Move on to the next slide. So what Meta has done is they changed the way that Facebook and Instagram's homepages and algorithms feed you content, whether that be from influencers that you follow, recommended content, or people that you know. And to put it lightly, the new changes were controversial. As we can see here from Kylie Jenner, one of the largest social media personalities in the world, just at the head of Instagram and Facebook, put that on her story on Instagram and said, make Instagram Instagram again, please. So some people weren't too happy with it. If we move to the next slide, we can see what this means going forward for digital marketing and Meta in general. So specifically with Meta platforms, For Instagram, video content will take precedence. It's going to be the leading kind of content that Instagram wants to prioritize. And think back to the intro. What did we say? We want more eyeballs on the site for a longer period of time. So the more entertaining videos you have, the longer you'll stay on the app. And then 2, Meta will continue to update their feeds and homepages so they can achieve that end of keeping people on the site longer. Now, what does that mean? Well, content you create should fit the changes that Meta is making. It only makes sense. If Meta wants you to do something, they're going to prioritize you if you do what they want. It's their platform. So if you're filling the needs of the platform itself, you're going to be benefited from it. As somebody who grew up watching YouTube and being one of the first generations to really look into the internet and be a part of that, I always hear influencers say, oh, I have to change my content to fit in with the algorithm. That's true for everybody. Regardless if you post something once a week with friends and family, if you want to get exposure, you have to do what Facebook and Instagram or any platform that you're on really kind of wants you to do to help them help themselves by, following the rules. And then 4, the goal with all of these changes is Meta will keep people on app as long as, they want, and this change is rolled out. So the goal of the change is to keep you on the site. Even though we saw Kylie Jenner didn't like it too much, Meta has their own ends they're trying to achieve. And if we move to the next slide, I think we're missing one here. Go back, Nick, go maybe 1 or 2, and went forward a little bit. Back one more. Yep, right here. So the head of Instagram himself was saying that even though the test that was put into place with the new feed and homepage of Facebook and Instagram, even though there was a lot of controversy around it with Kylie Jenner and some other influencers not liking it, overall, it was a test. And he had multiple videos and posts that he put out on Twitter and Meta's platforms as well, addressing the controversy that they ran into, and said like this was a test for a select number of users. I had friends who didn't have any of the changes on their home feed. I personally had the changes on my Facebook and Instagram home feeds. And the controversy really came from the shift to videos. And recall what Kylie Jenner said. She wants Instagram to stay as Instagram. And in the intro, we saw that Instagram really pushes itself as a photo sharing platform. And all of Instagram's marketing for themselves kind of lines up with that. It's the film camera. That's originally what they were when they first launched. They were really for sharing photos. So the transition to videos is a little bit of a departure from what made Instagram Instagram. And that's a big reason why people were upset. But Adam, the head of Instagram, said, we're not completely going away from photos. It's still a big part of Instagram, but we're also giving a little bit more of a spotlight to videos, because for on their back end, with all of the metrics they have and all the numbers they can crunch and look at, videos, they perform well. And that's what we saw in the intro. Videos are taking social media by storm right now, especially vertical videos. And Adam said himself, what they found is most of the users are moving to videos. So even though some people thought it was controversial, they didn't really like it, it's kind of one of those little things where people say one thing, but another thing's truly happening. So we go to the next slide. And what does this mean for us as marketers? Well, as marketers, like I said in the beginning, we look at what the platform themselves, what they're doing, and we try to adapt to that as quick as we can. Because whenever Meta changes how its content is viewed on Facebook and Instagram, we're going to monitor those changes and calibrate our messaging and targeting to fulfill those changes and what Meta knows is best. Because when we look at it, do videos work? Yeah, videos work. So what we're going to do are use good videos that meet the requirements that Meta wants us to use, so we get the most exposure possible. We get more ads in front of more people to see your studios and your ads themselves, to get more leads, get more people coming into your studios. So overall, we help Instagram and Facebook, and then they help us as well. And as we see here on screen, here's just a couple of examples. The one on the left is an image. That one we've cropped to be a vertical image to work in stories. Stories are really important. It's the same aspect ratio as all the new videos that we're seeing in 9:16. And the one on the right, it's a still image, but that's a video as well. So we've been taking steps from our awesome creative department headed up by Nick Hansen himself to make these changes to help work with Facebook alongside them and get more bang for your buck. Go to the next slide, please. One more, please. Awesome. So that's the changing landscape of Facebook and Instagram currently. And just to recap it, vertical videos are going to be the new gold standard. Even though it was a little controversial with some social media personalities, as we saw, the real truth is people like the vertical videos more than they do the photos. Photos aren't going anywhere. Photos can be really important. It's still a hallmark of Instagram itself, and people are going to end up being on these platforms more because these social media companies understand what it takes to keep eyeballs on their platforms so they can get more ad revenue and they can compete with other platforms as well. So this is actually a pretty good thing, even though there's some controversy. Meta is taking the steps that they need to innovate and stay with the times and not fall behind and go to the wayside like MySpace did all those years ago. So with that said, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nathan. That was amazing. Please message us in the chat or in the Q&A function if you have any questions, and we'd love to answer them at the end. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce our awesome franchisee success manager, Jasmine Murphy.
Thank you, Nick, for the intro. I just want to take a moment to introduce Mark. He is here to share his knowledge and experience as a new franchisee owner. He's set to open his first location in Trophy Club, Texas. So Mark, I'd love for you to have the opportunity to share a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently a corporate refugee. So long history and career path in the sporting goods and apparel industry. Moved all across the US, from West Coast to East Coast, West Coast to, Midwest to the Northeast, Binghamton, New York, the icebox of New York. And now I live in Fort Worth, Texas. So long path, like I said, sporting goods and apparel. And, due to COVID, company restructured, eliminated my position, and kind of got introduced to, through a friend, introduced to a franchise consultant. And I'd always been, kind of skeptical of franchising because my perception was based upon, basically the fast food industry. So I was, basically ignorant of really what all was out there. And through this franchise consultant, met a few times and then, piqued my interest and ended up, meeting the people at Exponential Fitness and selecting YogaSix.
That's awesome. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about your studio and the location and why you went with YogaSix as your first studio?
Yeah, I mean, selected YogaSix, because, I've been active in the outdoors all my life, from backpacking, climbing, all around the world. And as you see from the image, I now do competitive stand-up paddleboarding. So always been active. I've had, people I've climbed with, or even one of my current coaches for stand-up paddleboard racing, are yoga teachers. So it's always been part of my training and recovery. So there's always been an interest there. And when I looked at all the different fitness modalities that were out there in light of the pandemic, where mindfulness became front of mind for many people. I mean, we can thank individuals, like Simone Biles, for really bringing it to the forefront. All of the healthcare companies talking about mental health. I looked at it like, wow, I have, an interest, some knowledge of yoga, the overall environment, and then the business environment, of course, is going to get better as we move out of, the pandemic. And to me, it just seemed like a business opportunity and a fitness modality. Yoga's how many centuries old? It has legs, and particularly now in today's, current, business and health environment. To me, it's like, wow, here's an opportunity to help people help themselves in a deeper way, and to, combine kind of an avocation and a vocation, for myself.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's wonderful, and I completely agree with you on all that. Tell me a little bit about the biggest hurdle that you've had to date going through this pre-sale process.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, the hurdles, I mean, are numerous when you're starting out. Kind of due to my corporate path, I've had, experience, from finance, sales, marketing, product development, all of that. And you get a good breadth of knowledge, but you lack the depth. And so coming in as a new, franchise, like an SBA loan, unfortunately, not independently wealthy. Um, so I need to get an SBA loan. And I mean, the hurdles to go through that are tough. And all the documentation, is a pain, to put it nicely. But so that's, I mean, kind of one of those first hurdles. And I've looked at this, kind of from, like a mountaineering, point of view is, as you're climbing up, your goal is in up high and in the future, and you reach like a false summit, and then whoop, you got to go down. Now you have to go back up. So there's all kinds of false summits and ups and downs. But over the long term, your expedition is going forward, and you just overcome and keep on, focus on the journey and that end goal. I mean, currently, we've had lots of construction delays. We had a shipment of construction materials that's in high demand get stolen out of the trucking distribution center. It arrived, and then it was no longer there to be shipped to us. So we had to reorder. That cost us 2 weeks. Another one would be, HVAC units are in, high demand, short supply. We, pre-purchased units back in May. They're supposed to be available any time now, but the vendor won't tell us when it will be here. So we've done everything we can to build. But once we get them, we're 3 weeks and then we're open. So I mean, but in the meantime, hey, pre-sale, we got off to a great start. We started end of March, and quickly, I think within it was 20 days, we had 50 members. So that was all digital ads, thanks to Franchise Ramp and what they were doing for us. And then kind of in June, I think June, school was out, people began to take vacations, and things slowed down. And in turn, it's kind of ramped its way back up. But it's lots of obstacles, but you got to keep your eye on that final goal. And we're getting there. We're making steps towards that direction.
Absolutely. Stay the course and you'll get there. It'll completely pay off. I know it. I'm excited for you. Can you tell me a little bit more about the results you've achieved during pre-sale? What were the biggest contributors and detractors during that?
Yeah, and the territory that I have for Yoga 6 is large, so it has lots of zip codes. So we initially started targeting the zip code where the studio is at in Trophy Club and adjacent zip codes. And when the response began to dwindle down from that, we in turn increased the number of zip codes that made sense, that were adjacent, and started marketing to individuals located in those zip codes, which boosted engagement, and in turn people submitting their leads. So I think that has helped us, and just talking to you and understanding what are the levers that we can push and pull to increase reach, and in turn engagement, and get the leads. And then it's up to myself and the team to get them to convert, and we've been converting at a high rate.
Yeah, you guys have a great team. So you've done an awesome job at picking the people in your circle to help you get this off the ground and running. So I'm really happy to see that. Can you tell me about a risk you had to take? If you can think of one, I would love to hear it.
Yeah, I think the biggest risk is really, it's going to work. But you're kind of, at this point going, oh boy, I mean, we're delayed, there's cash going out all the time. And as you get closer to, opening, you're buying, opening up accounts with various vendors, apparel vendors and such. So, the risk is like, oh boy, we got to keep on investing with, very little in return. And you just have faith that, the resources provided by Exponential, and Yoga 6, the resources that myself and, my team are applying to it are going to pay off. And, have great engagement from our current founding members. We're offering pop-up classes, every Saturday, during the month of August. Lots of great feedback, which is so encouraging, to meet your founding members and have, and talk with them face to face and have them just so excited, for you to open and being understanding, that, initially we would have opened kind of midsummer, then it's gone kind of late summer. And, people are saying, well, it's back to school already, so it's really fall. And you're trying to, couch your response in a manner that keeps them engaged, but also reflects kind of the true nature of, when we will open.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear from you on this one. So I know the journey has a lot of highs and lows, which you've went over completely through this. But what keeps you motivated in this process? What keeps you going?
Yeah, I think it's, personally, it's, durability, resilience, and I'll use a new term that a friend of mine just introduced me to, and it's a new concept called being anti-fragile. And that is, being cognizant and aware of things that make you fragile and addressing those. So with that new concept, you make sure you have, HR, skills, your marketing skills, your team has the selling skills, lead teacher is there. So, it's having a robust team that has the skill sets so that you can, keep it going. And also, as you notice in my, backdrop here photo, it's a rendering of the studio. We're looking to build, a pergola on the backside so we can teach classes outdoors. And part of that logic, in the very beginning of even just, selecting Trophy Club was to pandemic proof the business. So if there is a, pandemic number 2, I can still hold classes and as long as, we have, it's similar kind of social distancing and that requirements, we would still be able to have a business of sorts. So that's an implementation of being anti-fragile, is not being impacted by some of those, outside forces and planning for it. And, and currently, we'll be able to hold classes, 2 classes at once, an indoor and an outdoor. And we've already had founding members tell us, I want to hold, and attend sunrise classes. We're like, well, so, sunrise can be awfully early sometimes. Like, I don't care. I want to be outside and doing a yoga class as the sun comes up. How gratifying can that be when you have members asking for something and you can fulfill it?
No, that is so cool. I remember seeing that picture for the first time in the background. I think it is going to be absolutely incredible. And sunrise yoga, there can't be anything better than that, really. So I'm excited.
With a mimosa.
Oh, there you go. That's a great plan. I love that. I will be driving to you. My last question for you, what advice would you give to other franchisee owners just starting out?
Yeah, I think it's really, have faith in your skills, and your drive, and you're going to go through ups and downs. And you're going to doubt yourself. Have a good team, be it family members or, other business people with you, that you can talk to. And, you just got to keep on. It's an expedition is what it is. That takes months of time. And it's a lot longer than what you think. And it's a lot longer than I think with many of the franchisors will tell you also. Particularly in today's environment and, going forward, it's probably still going to be, ups and downs, in our, geopolitical climate that we have. So it's stay the course, be confident, resilient, durable, and now my favorite word, be anti-fragile. build that skill set, build those concepts, those processes to make it so you can withstand the vagaries that the world, throws at us every day.
Absolutely. Anti-fragile. I like it. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for being here today. I know you are going to be so successful, and not only that, you're going to make a huge impact on your community. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you so much.
Back to you, Nick.
Thank you, Jasmine and Mark. That was awesome. Please message us in the chat if you have any questions for either Jasmine or Mark. And I see we do have one question right now in the Q&A. It's from Ashton, and it says, I've been transitioning our Instagram to a lot of vertical videos and reels. I've noticed, however, these videos are not Facebook friendly. Meta won't even process them. I've been uploading the videos to TikTok and sharing the TikToks to our Facebook feed. Is there tips for posting videos on Facebook? Maybe even a different ratio? Nathan, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so Facebook is going to be finicky a lot. With Facebook, a lot of it, the videos where they focus that new aspect ratio, that 9:16, is on the stories. And that's just the way that like the Facebook home feeds work. It's a little different than it is on Instagram. So, like I said before, you can turn your camera landscape, shoot it that way if you're posting it just native to Facebook, and it'll also work on Instagram as well. If you really want to focus on shooting those vertical videos to help your studio get exposure on Facebook, maybe take a story or Facebook Reels video as well, get that on there. And then for just the general feed, to have it put on your Facebook page itself. For right now, focus doing it on the landscape itself. And then you can also crop that down. It depends on what you're taking the video on, whether it's like an Android, whether it's an iPhone, but there are apps that will allow you to crop that down, and it'll do kind of like what Instagram does with some videos, where it'll blur the outside and it'll kind of give those bars, and then it'll turn that back from that 9:16 ratio to like that 1:1 ratio that Facebook likes so much. I would give you one of those apps off the top of my head, but I can't think of one right now. But yeah, they're there to help those cross-channel posting of videos.
So an app that I've been using that's awesome, Ashton, is CapCut. So if you just go to the App Store, I put it in the answer there, CapCut, CapCut, super user-friendly, and you can add captions, and it does templates, and it's easy to format sizes. So would definitely recommend checking that out too, CapCut. And it looks like we had another question on how to contact Mark. Mark has shared his info there. Thank you. Any other questions before we wrap it up for today? Okay, well, we will be sending a recording of this to your emails as well. So if any questions arise in the meantime, definitely feel free to reach out. We love to share our knowledge. And just thank you so much for joining us today. We already can't wait to see you next time. Already September, hard to believe. And we look forward to working with you to achieve your entrepreneurial dreams. Thank you, everybody.